What's up, baby?
Turkey killing mofos. Hey, you a professional now.
You got her? Heck yeah, man. That's awesome, dude. Hell yeah.
Storytelling in regards to hunting and fishing has gone back hundreds of thousands of years.
Yeah.
Literally on the rock walls of our nation.
Push it.
Yes, sir.
What you doing, Brandon?
Go. By the way, your nipples are already wet.
I just shot probably one of the most epic scenes, like, probably ever. These two monster bugs got after it, and it was so cool.
That's about like what you want it to look like. Cover it.
Oh, he's so handsome.
That's a big deer, Megs.
He's big. He's a big boy. That's talking whitetail.
That's what I'm talking about, baby.
Holy crap.
Look at those hooves.
Everybody wants to be a turkey hunter until it's time to do turkey hunters.
What's up, guys, and welcome to another episode of the Tejas Hunt Club Podcast. I'm your host, Brandon and Meagan, and tonight we're having a returning guest with plenty of big buck stories. He gave us a couple last time, but this time I got a text message from him because, you know, we talk about deer, and it's fun to talk about deer with your friends and even podcast guests. But he sent me a story, and he said, I want you to read this. And he also sent me a photo of a pretty large whitetail buck. And I mean, just it doesn't do it justice to say words. Like it's like the epitome of a South Texas giant. And the story to go along with it is even better. It's those Texas buck stories that you love to hear. And tonight we're sitting down with Mr. Riley Hornback again because he is in love with chasing whitetails, just like a lot of us. And just so happens he gets to chase and is very successful in getting those whitetails. So welcome again to the podcast, Riley. Glad to have you back on here, man.
Man, yeah, it's great to be back, and thank you for having me back. I know that I've enjoyed being part of this and enjoyed communicating with you, obviously, since the last one and even before that about deer hunting and everything else and so on and so forth, whether it's guns or bows or whatever. So happy to be back, and thank you for having me.
Yeah, man. Yeah, it's nice to know that there's other people that like these hobbies, and I dare say will obviously love these hobbies that we have.
Like and love,
Yeah.
or even maybe
not
addicted.
a good term. Yeah, addicted. Like,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
I mean, the amount of time Megan and I were actually talking about this when we were driving back home, and it was like the amount of time and money spent doing this thing that we love to do. Like, it doesn't really add up. Like, as much as success that you have, the amount of success that you do have still doesn't even add up to what you put into it. Like, it's not quantifiable. Like, if you were to sit down and put it in an Excel spreadsheet, there's no way that you can make it work.
You can't make it
doesn't
sense.
make sense.
No. There's no doubt. And I even waking up the next morning after killing this deer was questioning myself, did it really happen, right? But at the same time, before, when it hadn't happened, I was thinking about exactly what you're saying. Like, I'm going to put all this time and money into it, and this deer is going to get away from me, right?
Yeah.
Or even prior to that, not even knowing that this deer existed. I've done all this. Am I not going to have anything to show for it at the end? But it makes it all worth it in the end, right? And even if it doesn't 100%. Work out, the campfires and all that kind of stuff make it all worth it anyways. But
yeah. I mean, it's everything all brought together, like you said, but still, like, you want to come home with something, like, and it doesn't even have to be the biggest deer. Like I did the cold buck that I shot, like the 6-point that I shot. I mean, he was an old buck. I mean, he had some funky horns. He got me excited. Like, when we were out there, Alton pulled up, my father-in-law pulled up the camera, and this buck showed up, and I was like, looked at him. He had a big old neck. He was all swole up. I was like, I want to shoot that deer. Now, is he the biggest thing in the world? No, but it also got me excited, and it's something that we got to do. He's old enough to where he needs to move along. His brow tines are short. He's only putting out forks. Like, we're gonna try to move those genetics out of there,
Well,
but just
there's a goal
making
associated with it too, right?
exactly like it's putting a goal to hunting an animal and being able to get that goal done.
Yeah, I wouldn't be upset next year if the deer I was looking for was not as big as this one. It would just be about, that's the deer I'm looking for. He's the right one to harvest, and that, whether this deer scores 175 or 155, it wasn't going to make a difference once he was on the ground. It was about the chase, so
Exactly.
or 155 or 125. It really doesn't matter. It's about what you put your mind to and spending the time in the woods to achieve something like that. So,
oh yeah, for sure. That's why we love to do it. But so going back with this deer and kind of like going into this season, like what was kind of your plan? Did you really have anything else that you were chasing coming into the season?
Yeah. So can you hear me okay, Brandon? I don't know. You blipped out for a second there. Okay. I was just making sure.
Sorry.
Oh, you're good.
No, I got you.
So I'll start all the way kind of at the beginning of the season with this deer specifically. And I did not have anything really that was like surefire deal that I was looking for that was like, okay, that's a deer we know is an 8-year-old. That's a deer we know we're going to hunt, so on and so forth, right? There was multiple of those throughout the ranch that other guys I hunt with were hunting and so on and so forth. But I specifically did not have one, right? And that was totally fine with me. I was fully prepared to eat a tag sandwich this year if it came down to it, right? Because I've been fortunate in the past, and I wanted to make sure that it was the right deer for me, and I helped other hunters because there's a lot of camaraderie that goes into working with your teammates on your lease, if you will, right?
Yeah. And I mean, it's like y'all all have a goal, and you're all, because from what I understand and what you talked about, y'all are pretty management minded on where y'all want to let deer get big and let them grow and let them get old, and being able to have everybody on the same page as that is a great thing, because it's real easy to get real excited about that 150 that looks real good right now. But if you let him go for 2 years and you're able to have enough property to do it, like, it's fun, even more fun when you can make that work. But yeah,
100%. And you don't want to shortchange a deer, but you don't want to let one go too long either, right? So there's a fine line there. So season started, and I have a deer that I want to at least take a look at. Not the deer I ended up killing, but I want to take a look at. He's not really in our category of deer that's like known as far as like age structure and so on and so forth. So not that there's an argument, but you do need to be able to, like, I do a lot of research through our trail cameras through the years past and go back and find pictures and put this to him and find that he has a double throat patch or he doesn't have whatever it might be. And that deer that I was looking for historically had never showed up till super late in the year anyways, and sure enough, of course, he did not show up. So I'm guessing I'm probably 65 hunts in by Thanksgiving already looking for this deer. And in the meantime, I was able to film a deer for my dad that I'd filmed 2 years before. He came out, he had a broken right ear. This year, obviously. It didn't heal itself, and we were able to show that this is a 8-year-old deer, and my dad ended up harvesting him, and so that was cool to be part of that, of course. And but I'm still back to the drawing board, and the deer that I'm looking for at this time, he's not a guaranteed deer. Like, I'm not gonna go get film of him and bring him back and everybody agree like, oh yeah, go kill him right away, right? Because there's a lot of things that go into it, and I'm not one to force, hey, this deer's old enough to shoot. We need to kill him just because it's for me, right? Like that's without a bunch of history or whatever. So I'm at home right after Thanksgiving on December 1st. I get a picture of this deer in one of the pens where the deer I'd been looking for. The deer I'd been looking for was in two different pens.
Yeah.
And so I was watching those cameras like crazy, right? And I get a picture of this deer on December 1st, and I'm like, oh, where did this deer come from? And I could tell by his body size and stuff that he was a legit 7 or 8 year old deer. Body size, head. Of course, sending pictures to all my buddies, to every other guy that I know that knows deer better than I do. How old do you think this deer is? You know, so on and so forth. So I think that was on a Monday, December 1st. And he was in the pen pretty consistently at that point at night, right?
Yeah.
And of course, I couldn't make it down there till the middle of the day on Friday, which was the 5th. And I was fortunate enough to film him on the 5th. And I was pretty certain when I saw him in person, like, yeah, this big, long body, loggerhead, you know, no racehorse about him, just looked like a school bus, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, yeah. And so my fiance was with me. And so we come back, we show everyone the video, and rightfully so, like we talked about on the last podcast, there's no go out there and see him the first time and pull the trigger on him where we hunt, and which I actually think is I don't make the rules, but I follow them. I think it's a really good thing to do to not just let a deer walk out in front of you and pull the trigger on them, because they can fool you real quick in a heartbeat, right?
That is a pretty, like you said, like you follow the rule, and I think it's a pretty good rule too.
Mm-hmm.
If you can, I mean, obviously there's some different things that are going on that attribute to this, right? Of course, if you've got a small piece of property, most likely you don't have that many people. There's different reasons why you wouldn't use this
100%.
rule. But if you were able to manage that deer herd to where like you're setting in rules like that, that's when you know, like, and people are abiding by them. That's when you know, like you said, you have a good group of people. But like I like it. I really do.
And I guess I probably should have even added to that a little bit more. I know we talked a little bit before this, so I'm trying not to leave out what we already talked about. But this deer also was not known whatsoever, right? So it wasn't like, hey, go look at this deer that we thought was 4 last year and now he looks 7, right? This deer is not, I mean, maybe we have a picture of him from last year. It looks very similar, but it's a very difficult picture to tell. After I filmed him, I went through all of August and September's pictures from the year before in the same pen to see if I could find him. Like 30,000 pictures I scrolled through in a night to see if I could find him. And a guy I hunt with, Mike, he had sent me a picture, and I found the picture, and I do think potentially that it was him, but it was pretty difficult to tell how old it was early in the year, difficult to tell how old he was. But I even spoke with our neighbors, and they didn't really know him either whatsoever. They thought maybe we saw him one time last year, whatever, right? So a deer like that in that situation, that's the one that you definitely want to video and bring back and say, hey, let's all make a group decision and see if this is the right deer, in fact, to harvest. Where, we have other deer that are so distinctual that we've watched from 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 years old. Hey, that's a no-brainer. You can whack him the second he steps out, right?
Yeah.
This deer, wasn't the case for sure. But so anyways, I get that picture of him and get down there midday on Friday, get in the stand with my fiance, and there he is. He comes out, and I film him. We go back, and we talk about it. And anyways, it ends up being that he's good to, everyone agrees, like, yes, this is the right one to harvest. He's old enough, and so on and so forth. And I didn't know this, but so you can't really see into our feed pens that well. We don't run a lot of corn feeders. We basically corn the roads, similar to like Mexico style hunting. And our feed pens are more geared around protein and cottonseed, which we don't obviously always run, but you know, there's always residual and so on and so forth. And we have water in all of our feed pens. Well, so it gets approved. Well, that Saturday morning, I'm in the blind, and I didn't get the picture till after I got out of the blind at 9 because I wasn't checking my phone because it was hot and there wasn't a bunch of deer around, whatever, right? He was in the feed pen that morning at 8:30 and never walked into the road. So I never even knew he was there until I got back to camp and looked at my cameras on my phone. And so I'm like, all right, that's fine. You know, I've seen him. He's been on camera close to daylight and every evening. I saw him yesterday evening. Like, this evening's the evening, right? And this is going to be like quick for me, right? This typically doesn't work out. I'm thinking I came down, saw him got him on camera on a Monday, came down on a Friday, filmed him. I'm going to kill him Saturday evening, right? Like, no questions asked. And like we talked about, you know, at this point we're at December 5th, and I would love to bow hunt him, but we're like days, seconds away from him just getting really frisky and either busting his tines off or disappearing, or anything can happen at that point. So trying to move in on him and set up a bow blind, I just worried about blowing him out. So I'm going to rifle hunt him, right? Well, where the feed pen was that he was in that morning is right at like 265 yards. So I had went and shot my gun at 300 just to be super comfortable. There was a berm in the road at 265 yards that I had marked where I started my corn, etc. And so I was ready. And, you know, here we go. Well, like a week before, my dad and I were just shooting the shit, and I forget what we were talking about, but I made the comment, like, any hunter who makes a comment who will get humbled real quick did. I was like, I've never killed every deer I've ever shot at, that is for sure. But I've always gotten a shot, right? If they walked out. You know, I've never had a deer not give me a shot, is what I was telling my dad, right?
Yeah.
And so that December 5th evening was Sid and I in the stand. He steps out at 340 yards, walking right to us. And I've already got the gun out the window. I know where he's coming from. I've got the spot and scope. I use the Olin Digiscope thing now. Love it to death. And I'm like, here he comes. And she's not even paying attention, of course. You know, I'm like, you go run the camera on my phone, get this ready, you know, the whole 9 yards. And he's on his way. And I tell her, when he gets to that corn pile, he's going to turn broadside, and I'm fixing to let him have it. And she's like, are you nervous? I'm like, yeah. I'm a little bit shook up right now, you know. And dude, this deer gets to that corn pile on that berm, and he never picked his head up above his shoulders. And a doe crossed in front of him, and it was 10 seconds, and he bolted in the brush. It's like 5:40 in the evening. And I'm like, oh, he's gonna come back. Like, there ain't no doubt. She ain't even in heat yet. He's gonna come back, right? Like, he's gonna push her off, and then he's gonna turn around and come right back to this food. Nope. Didn't come back. And I'm like, there ain't no way. So, humble number one, right?
Yeah.
That was the first lesson I was taught. And I wasn't even saying it in a rude way when I said I didn't, you know, prefaced it with I've never killed every deer I've ever shot at, right? But
Yeah.
So of course go hunt the next morning, and it's getting hot at this point, right? This is December 6th. It's getting super hot. And hunt Sunday evening, hot as can be. He never shows. Go home Monday morning, which I guess was the 7th. No, I'm sorry. Go home Tuesday morning, which was the 8th. So I talked her into staying Monday. Go home on Tuesday. He's on camera on Tuesday at 6:11, standing there.
Of course.
And, yeah, well within shooting light. Had been standing out in the road because my buddies were cornering it for me, right? And I'm like, oh man, I'm sick. Dude, I turned around and drove back on the night. Brought her home one night, turned around, drove back the next day. And got there and was like, he's got to show up, right? He's got to show up. Well, it stays hot, dude. Like this hunting season, I think most people will agree was probably the most strange hunting season as far as I've seen with the weather.
Yeah.
As far as how hot it's been. And so I get there on Wednesday and hunt Wednesday evening, Thursday morning, Thursday evening, Friday morning, Friday evening. And at this point, I don't even have him on camera at nighttime. So I have no idea where he is. And I'm like at a loss, right? Like I can only imagine that he's got on a doe and he's on neighbor pasture or something. And rightfully so, if I was him, I'd have shot him too,
Yeah.
And just fortunate for me, I guess they didn't see him, right? So that Saturday morning, I was like, I'm going to go move a stand into an area and put some feed out that where it looked like he had come from, right? And so I go and do that and get that all set up, but go back to the home base, if you will, at this point, where I had filmed him and seen him and got deked by him like a rookie. I was so disappointed in myself, but I didn't know what to do in that situation, right? He never gave me other than walking with his head up.
Yeah, like
there was nothing.
That's not there's not a shot there for you really to take.
Yeah, so I set that stand up, of course, put camera on the feed and all that, and I don't hunt Sunday morning because it's foggy and I have to go to Florida for work on Monday morning. So this is now the 15th that I'm flying to Miami for work. So I put the stand and the feed and the camera up on the 13th. And I'm flying. Sorry, I'm checking my timestamp over here because I had to write all this down because there's so much to it. So I'm flying to Miami. Sid and I are flying to Miami for work. And we're going to be in Miami Monday to Friday. And I am so disappointed, dude, to be going for work. And it's one of those things where, you're like, I have to go do this, but man, I really just want to be deer hunting, right? And so we leave Monday and we get there, and the camera that I have set up from Saturday, he's not on it. He's still not on the camera where I had seen him originally. So I'm lost right now, right? And, they're heating up at this point, right? And that Monday, when we get to Miami, there's a cold snap that hits Texas on the 15th.
Yeah.
It gets chilly. And we're sitting in a conference, small conference, like 15 people, right? And on the 16th, on Tuesday at 12:47, he's standing on the cottonseed looking at the camera. And I'm in Miami until Friday, knowing that I'm not going to get to hunt it until Saturday evening. And he's standing right in the middle of the cottonseed looking at the camera at 12:47 at lunchtime, 12:47 p.m.
Daylight.
And it's taking everything in my bones not to just be like, oh, sorry, guys, I'm out of here. Because
they get back on a flight home.
I can tell you, dude, I called my brother and my dad and said, whichever one of y'all can miss work, whichever one of y'all can pack y'all shit right now and go to the ranch, go kill this deer. Because I'm nervous wreck that he's either going to break his tines off, he's going to disappear. I mean, again, we still don't know who he is, where he came from, the whole 9 yards. So he's not like, oh, that's, Jester, who he'll be over there come December, that kind of talk. And they're like, no, we can't go, and you'll be fine. He'll be there when you get back.
Meanwhile, you're just losing your mind.
Oh, having a very hard time sitting there. Because like you talked about, that thought process of what you said going through your head as far as like on an Excel spreadsheet, everything you go through and all the time you put in. And then I have this deer, but I can't get there to hunt him, right? Is all I'm thinking. And so from that day, from the 16th until the 19th, I got multiple pictures of him every morning, every evening in the daylight. And I sent you the picture of him that one night where he had a full tree branch in his head. And people were telling me, that's so cool. And I said, that's not so cool. Like, he's whooping everything he can get in front of right now. And that just means he's going to break his tines off. And literally, like, just a basket case, if you will, right? And so then it gets even better on the flight home. So we head to Fort Lauderdale to fly home on Friday, and our flight wasn't scheduled till I think like 8:30, so we weren't going to get in until like midnight our time or something, because it was the only nonstop. And we're on our way to the airport, or on our way to Fort Lauderdale, and we're just going to have like a late lunch or something there and then go to the airport. And we get a notification that our flight's delayed an hour. And being that we're like last flight out, I'm like, that's not good. They'll cancel our flight on us, right?
Yeah, and roll it over to the next day.
And I'm like, this is not going to happen to me right now, So we go straight to the airport to try to get on another flight. And we're traveling with another couple who we work with. And their priority, super Southwest stuff.
Yeah.
And we get to the deal, and there's a flight that goes to New Orleans and then goes to Houston. And it's leaving at like 5 o'clock or something. There's 3 tickets. Well, I'm not leaving my fiance in Fort Lauderdale by herself, right? So I told her, get on that flight. She's like, I'm not getting on a flight without you. I said, get on that flight. If I got to get home at 3 in the morning, I'll get home at 3 in the morning, but I can't have you by yourself and then run into the same situation,
Yeah.
Of course, that ain't good either, right? And somehow, some way, we lucked out and boarded that New Orleans flight. I'll tell you how bad it was. I was C-64 getting on the plane, which, only goes to C-60. So somehow I got very lucky to even get on the plane, right? So we get home, I guess, at like 11:30 that night, 11. And my brother's texting me. He's like, are you going to go to bed or are you just going to go straight to the ranch? Like, I'm like, it's 5 hours in the dark down Highway 59. From Goliad to Freer is not the road you want to travel at that time.
No, sir. It is
but
not.
Don't get me wrong. I'm questioning myself if it's something that I'm considering doing, you know?
Yeah,
And
yeah. I mean, I've made some midnight runs myself.
Yeah, dude, I'm super.
People will be like, "You drove from where to where?" I'm like, "Yeah, dude, it wasn't just nothing but 4.5 hours. It's good. Just turn the tunes on and roll."
Yeah. So, and I'm not even. Yeah, me, no big deal. All them other people on the road, that's the only concern, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So, I'm like, no, I'm not going to do it. I'm going to get up early and leave in the morning. So, on the 20th, I get up to head to the ranch. I leave at 6:30 in the morning, and dude, at 7:30 in the morning, middle broad daylight, there he stands right where I'm going to hunt him. I mean, like, it is scripted for me, right? And I get there at 11:30, noon, whatever. And everyone's like, oh, I cannot wait till you bring him in tonight. Like, can't wait to see him and all this. And dude, I get in the blind and he doesn't show. The only time he hasn't been on camera in daylight, in morning or evening, since Tuesday at this point, and it's Saturday.
Yeah.
And you can see our Can-Am go by the camera at like 6:25 or something after I got out of the stand, loaded all my stuff up. And he was on the camera at 6:49. Right after I left. But at least I was positive that he wasn't broke up and he was still in the area, right?
Yep.
So the next morning, Sunday morning, and my fiance's like, are you going to make Christmas at this point, right? And I'm like,
yeah. When you got to December 20th a while ago, I was like, oh, he creeping up on Christmas here pretty
it was
soon.
getting close, right? And I'm like, I'm hoping I'm coming home on Monday, but I ain't getting ahead of myself because I thought that this would be done by now, and this deer just keeps giving me the slip. And so we get up the next morning, we go to the blind. And I guess I should back up because I got ahead of myself. So my dad's been hunting since I got there the night before. I put my dad where I'd originally seen him, right?
Yeah.
And I was hunting the new spot, which
the one you set up that weekend,
right? Way a crow flies, 800 to 1,000 yards. Maybe if you made a loop, it's a 2-mile loop basically to connect it. So all the way around, full circle or square, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
But just in case he showed up there. So Sunday morning, get up, dude, I can't see 35 yards out of my blind, 40 yards, so much fog. So I have no idea if he's even standing out there. No clue.
Yeah. And every tree branch looks like he's standing there.
Yeah, and I'm doing everything I can to try to look through fog, and it's just super difficult. Well, I hunt till like 10:30 that morning. I get out of the blind. Dad comes to pick me up. He brought some fresh cottonseed over because I told him I was going to hunt for a while. He went and picked up some cottonseed, brought it over. We put it out. We ran to town and got a hamburger, and I wanted to get some stuff to put some blinds in this stand because it wasn't mine. So I didn't feel like I could hide that well. I wanted to put like some curtains in there.
Yeah.
So got everything to build curtains, got back out by 3:00. I was in the blind putting those curtains up. Dad's still back where he was. So Dad's in the white truck that we hunt out of, and I'm in the Can-Am. And, it's hot again all of a sudden. And I'm just sitting there, and my phone goes off. And, of course, my dad gives me no warning. It's just a video of him. And he's like, he's walking in. And my brother's like, you got to go right now. Like, you got to get in the Can-Am, and you got to get around there. and you got to go. So there's like a big joke on the ranch with the guys I hunt with. So my camera that was on that cottonseed, all you see is a dust storm from the Can-Am just blowing by it, right? So I'm doing 50 across this pasture, right? So I get around to Dad, and I know where he's at based on the video, and I know that I can drive in and then jump out and run in, and he can't see me. So I jump out the Can-Am and I start running in, and I get close to the blind. I probably ran 500-600 yards. I get close to the blind, and I'm trying to call my dad, and he's not answering his phone. So I get close to the blind. I'm like, you know, he looks out. I'm like, where's he at? Because I was just going to crawl out in the road and shoot him off the ground, you know?
Yeah.
He's like, he chased a doe in the brush. Come on, get in the stand. So I get in the stand. After about 5 minutes, I tell my dad, like, well, this seems pretty familiar. You know, just like how he chased the doe off in front of Sydney and I, and he's not coming right back out. Like, is this gonna happen, right? And Dad tells me, yeah, but if it does happen, think about how cool the story's gonna be. You know, like if he comes back out and you had to come over here and all this, think about how cool the story's gonna be. And I'm like, yeah. In my head, I'm like, piss on the story right now, right? Like, I just want to get this over with. And I'm worn out at this point, right? Like, this deer is giving me everything he can give me. And he doesn't show up. And we've still got some daylight left, right? And like I said, it's not that far from where I'm hunting, or where I was hunting, to where I had my dad sitting. So I text my brother, who's sitting at home with his newborn baby, Nixon, my nephew. And I'm like, hey, man, watch the cameras and refresh them every 10 seconds and let me know if he's on that cottonseed where I've been hunting. And sure enough, Ryan texted me. He said he's on the cottonseed where you were hunting. So he had dipped on me again. And I was questioning myself, like, do we push him? You know, at this point, is it the right thing to chase him again? You know, do we just let him calm down and hopefully he'll come back in the morning, blah, 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 whatever. And then, you know, in the heat of the moment, I was kind of like, screw it. Let's see what happens. And turned and looked at my dad. And I was like, what do you think? You ready to roll? He's like, let's go. And so luckily my dad's truck was parked right by the stand.
Right there,
hopped in it and took off. And we made it about a mile in his pickup. And then it was about 800 yards into the stand where I was sitting. And so I bailed out the truck running, and my dad, I guess he's an outlaw from way back. He done had the cab and dome lights and shit turned off in the truck. So when I opened the door, they didn't even turn on. But I didn't know this until the next day either. I bailed out the truck and took off running, and Dad was behind me step for step, basically, until I got to within 100 yards of the blind, where I slowed down to catch my breath and so on and so forth. You know, it sounds like you would scare him off, but the sun was setting. It was getting real close to dark at that point. So he didn't have a clue that I was there. The wind was in my face, and the wind was blowing pretty good at that point. So I wasn't too concerned with blowing him out of there at that point, right? And so I crawled up in the blind, threw my gun on the cottonseed. Of course, he wasn't standing on the cottonseed, and I had a deer walking away from me at about 300 yards. And I couldn't tell what he was through my scope, you know, and that's a big deal, right? Making sure you kill the right deer on the place we hunt on. And I put my digiscope on my spotting scope, and he swung his head to the left, and I could tell through my spotting scope that it was him. Well, then he was walking away from me, and I'm like, shoot him in the back of the neck. No, don't do that. Shoot him in the ass. No, don't do that. And about the time I told myself don't do that, he didn't turn broadside, but kind of hunched up where his front leg swung over, and his butt was still facing me. And he gave me a pocket, and I was like, now or never. And I figured he was about 300, just guessing. So I touched off. Wow. And then I heard some crashing. But I couldn't really tell which way he went because, it was getting dark quick, right? And it was dust and everything else down there in South Texas. And so I got out of the stand and walked back and found my dad. My dad said, damn, how far was he? I said, he's pretty far. Wow, what do you mean? He goes, my initial thoughts were you missed him because I heard how long the bullet was in the air before I heard the walk. I was like, well, he was down there a little bit. So we ended up arranging it, I think, last weekend. It was 297 yards or 296 yards, something like that, right at dusk. And I told Dad, I said he was facing to the right. That's the direction he initially went, but I didn't see much after that because we have had no rain, so the dust is like not to mention
it's
low
ridiculous
light.
down there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, I'll go ahead and call my buddy Wade with the dogs and let him know, like, hey, put me on the list. I don't know what I'm fixing to get into, and I don't have a good answer to give you, which I hate being that person. But so we walk down there and we can find where he dug in real hard. And of course, it looks like he went to the right, just like I thought. And, look around in there for 10 minutes and I'm like, man, we're wasting time. It's the biggest deer of my life, right? So I'm not going to waste our time, booger this deer up and not put the dogs on him and so on and so forth. So Wade gets there and he's just a great dude. And I get in the truck with him and I hand him the money for tracking. He goes, no, don't give me that. And I said, what do you mean? He said, well, you've helped me out down here. And on top of that, I don't feel real good about everything you told me. And I'm like, oh, Wade.
Oh, man.
So my emotions, you can imagine, are just a roller coaster at this point. And I'm like, Wade, regardless, this is your job, here's your money or whatever. And he said, I ain't taking it. I said, I'll put it in the cup holder. He said, I said, if it flies out the window, it's on you, right?
Yeah.
And Wade and I are buddies at this point, right? I think the world of him and I help him anytime I can and, all that kind of stuff. But so we get back there and he goes and turns his young dog, Leroy, out. And, you've seen the dogs work. I mean, they'll run around for a second and use the bathroom and this and that. So he turned Leroy out. Leroy went left. I just thought he was going over there to use the bathroom. And it wasn't a minute. And Wade said, well, we might ought to walk over there and see what he's doing. And he was 52 yards in the brush, laying dead to the left. He had crashed into an old fence and couldn't get over it and went left. And I couldn't see it in all the dust, and had went left. And there he was, laying dead, 52 yards in the brush. I mean, the wildest hunt of my life, hands down, from being in Florida, stressing the whole time, worrying he was going to break a tine or be killed by somebody else. Not knowing if I'm going to get home from Florida because of the airline deal. to him showing up at 6:49 after I got out of the blind the night before, to fog the next morning, to him being in front of my dad, to going back to the next place. Like, the steps of this deer were just far and above anything that I thought I would ever experience in one deer hunt.
And that's why we love to do it. That's
Yeah.
exactly why. Because there's nothing else on this planet that would make you want to do those things and feel like that and take you up and down. I really do feel bad for people that don't hunt, because it's so much fun. Your outlook on life is so much better because you're doing hard things. Like, you're having to make decisions that don't make logical sense. Everything in your body, everything in your brain is telling you, like, just like, it's okay, like, quit, like, or do whatever. But like, every decision that you have to make literally has to be delusional, like,
Yeah.
to get the outcome. Like, my buddy Drew actually made a post today. It's funny enough that he goes, any family member that tells you that, like, to be realistic, like, if somebody told you to be realistic about deer hunting, you would never kill that deer. You would never kill any big deer if you're gonna be realistic.
Oh, yeah.
It's
You,
not
you,
gonna happen.
you know what I think about, to add to that even more so, is to think about the people that don't deer hunt, and then I show them this deer and they just don't understand what it really takes. Like, they see a picture on Instagram and they think that, like, I drove down there and shot him and then drove back, and the commitment it takes. And it's a hobby, right? Like, it's not what I do for a living. This is my hobby, and therefore committing that kind of time to it is same with you, right? Like, I watched the video of your wife shooting that deer where she got out of the blind and stalked it, and then you were in the blind filming, I guess. I mean, that alone right there, those kind of things, people don't understand what goes into, not to mention tracking them through the brush and everything else you got to deal with, dragging them out and all that kind of fun jazz. But
or setting up blinds, or putting feeders out, or putting your camera up, and then, like, as soon as you get home, you see this montage of a cow walking in, and then eating your antenna and turning your camera sideways, and it's 4.5 hours away, and you just drove back home yesterday, and you just have to live with the fact that you're getting crooked pictures because that's just what you got.
You don't know what is there.
Yep.
You don't
get
know
deer legs.
Yep. You don't know if that's the deer you're looking for. You don't know what is there if not. And another thing with this deer, and like I told you, I got his horns here. I can show them to you. I named this deer Omaha because I had been looking for that other one, and I'd called an audible. But
old Peyton Manning.
Yeah, so this is him.
Golly, dude.
19 3/8 wide, 27-inch right beam, 26-inch left beam. Basically, scored anywhere between 172 and 174, basically, depending on who was scoring him. So,
golly,
yeah, biggest deer I've ever killed.
Like, he looks so cool. Like, his horns look like something like on a scary movie, like the tree in a scary movie, like the way they just, like, go out, but then they, like, reach back around. Like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I can only imagine, like, that first time when you saw him and he stepped out, and he's like, what'd you say? He's like 360 yards away, and he's just walking towards you, and you just see that, like, oh my gosh. Like, I wish I would have been there and had it on camera and get it in slow-mo with the big lens. Like, oh, dude. So that'd have been so cool to see.
So probably the coolest part of that story is when I got to stand with my dad when he had seen him for the first time in person, right?
Yeah.
I was like, obviously pretty disappointed that he wasn't out in front of us, but I was like, so what'd you think about him? He's like, oh shit, he's huge. I was like, I told you he's big. He's like, yeah, he's big. I was like, yeah, Dad, I know.
Like I've been to a few places where we filmed, not where I've hunted, but I've either been just filming content or like filming a hunt or something like that. And like when big deer step out, like you see them coming in. I mean, like I said, I've been on high fence and low fence with big deer. Like it kind of takes your breath away a little bit. Like you got to kind of remember to breathe, because like this is a very, as much as I like shooting them, as much as I like hunting them, as much as I like eating them, they are very impressive animals. Like when God created white-tailed deer, like he really put in some work on them, and all of them are different.
You couldn't be more correct in that exact statement you're making, because to me, so animals that shed their antlers, first of all, you put all of them in that group, but you know, I guess mule deer would probably be the closest one to a whitetail with, as far as uniqueness is concerned. But a whitetail, what they can do in the wild on their own, and you know, change from year to year, whether it's better or for worse, right? Like they can do both. They can get better or they can get worse from time to time, right? They can throw 10 extra points, or they can lose the 10 extra points that they got the year before. I mean, we have some deer that, you know, you read a bunch and try to study a bunch, and you try to understand, is this the right time to kill him? Is that the right time to kill him? You know, if a deer is a 4-year-old that scores 225 and he's a wild native deer, it's hard to say, don't shoot him, you know?
Yeah.
The biggest deer in Texas, 225, he's one of the biggest deer in Texas, and he's a 4-year-old. Like, are you doing this to harvest a deer? And rightfully so, we're all conservationists and we all want to grow big deer, but you know, that's a very big topic, if you will, in the friend group that I have, is what's the right thing to do in that situation. I don't know if there's a right answer necessarily, but you get where I'm coming from. Like there's definitely something to be said about the fact that, you know, a 5-year-old that's 215, you know, you're trying to push a deer to 7 or 8, 215 at 5, you're rolling the dice on him, buddy, to keep him alive.
I think deer, just from the stuff I've listened to, like I think deer have a peak year, obviously. And I can't tell you, just from the stuff I've listened to, if that is going to be their year 5, year 6, or year 7. But I think it is in between that realm right there. If they have all the nutrients and are able to be, you know, to feed and have water and everything else and not be stressed out, and they're able to grow, I think somewhere in between those 3 years is their peak year. And I'm not going to say the year after is going to be a huge dramatic drop off, but I do think it's going to be not what it was the year before. So now who knows how significant how that change is going to be.
Yeah. So kind of the rule of thumb that, I'm not saying that our ranch uses or whatever, but kind of like where my head's gone is, you know, deer are a lot like people, right? You have kids that are 6 foot tall at 12, and other ones that are 5 foot tall, but the 5 foot tall kid may be 6'5" at one point, right?
Yeah. Yep.
So you look for that year that they pop, that they do that something special, you know, whether it's they go from a 150-inch 10-pointer to a 175-inch 11-pointer with a drop time or something, right? And maybe that's from 5 to 6, maybe that's from 6 to 7. You know, the one thing that I am definitely a fan of is letting them go on a down year. So say, even if you'd push them all the way to 7 and they go from, say they're 150 153, and they go to 143 at 7, right? Or 139, whatever. And I'm just using score as a reference.
Yeah.
Not, but maybe he rutted real hard the year before. Maybe it was a down year as far as the range conditions or the amount of protein that he ate or whatever. It's worth it to give him a chance to come back, because he has the genetics. Now, if he's flat across the board the whole time, then kind of is what it is, right? And I'm using that as a reference as far as saying that your 150-inch deer is if we kill 150 on this place, that we're doing something, right?
Yep.
Like for us, to say, hey, if he is 170 at 5, 170 at 6, 153 at 7, something happened in between there, and give him another year to have a chance to get it back before you harvest him, because it's in there. That just means to me that he fought his butt off and those kind of things.
Yeah, that makes sense, man. That makes a bunch of sense.
There's no perfect science to it at the end of the day, and they're wild ass deer. That's kind of what I talk to my buddies about. Like, we read and study and do all this and so on and so forth, but at the end of the day, there's still just wild deer, and you don't know. Sometimes you see one walking around with a bum leg at the end of the year and think, I probably should shoot him. And the next year he comes back, he's grown 20 inches. They're resilient creatures and they're amazing. And that's why we love to do what we do,
Yes, sir.
For me, there's no perfect science to it. I think that you're spot on with what you're saying. And my dad actually turned me on to this, the Lee Lakowski method. Basically, if they have a 17% increase in horn growth after 5 years, that's what is considered them popping. That's when you kill that deer. So if you got a deer that goes from 131 to 146 or 150, you kill him that year because he had his best year he's ever going to have, and he's never going to be the same. Which is an extremely unique thing to think about.
He's one guy I haven't really seen on the podcast scene that much. Like, of course, they have their videos and stuff, right? But just to sit down and have a conversation with Lee Lakowski, like if the podcast is out there, I haven't found it yet, and I need to, because that guy, I mean, I don't know if you've heard his whole story about how like he quit his job and just bought that first farm with his wife and left, and like they were at the bottom of the bottom, like when they first started, and to be where he's at now, where he's got a live stream and you can watch his deer on his farm when they come eat, like it's pretty cool, and he's got a lot of knowledge.
Yeah, and social media has made it so bad because like there's people on TikTok and this and that, like we talked about on the last one, hunters are pointing more fingers at hunters now than ever before, right? Like,
yeah,
that guy that's like, oh, he's got genetics on his place, or whatever. Regardless, he's doing something right. He's killing big deer, and it looks like he's hunting the shit out of them from what I can tell,
Mm-hmm.
And he loves it. He's ate up with it. And I come in and tip my hat to him and enjoy watching his stuff. And the fact that he rolled the dice, like you said, to be part of the hunting industry is extremely impressive.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of guys, like, I mean, you put Michael Waddell in there. I mean, Philip Culpepper, like a lot of people talk trash about them and they got it nice. I mean, the juries, all of them, but it's like at some point, and everybody has this. It's like, I mean, it's part of life. It's like figuring out what you want to do. when
Yeah.
you're young, and I mean, you never really know. Like the whole lie about know your job when you graduate high school, like that's pretty dumb, I think, because you guys still got a little bit of living to figure out what you do and you don't like.
100%.
But at some point, those men had to make a decision, because most of them had families, they had bills, they had everything else. It's like, hey, am I going to roll the dice and go down this path that I don't know where it's going to lead? Or am I just going to, take the job like everybody else does and just live my life and maybe try to do this a little bit? Like Michael Waddell started sweeping floors at Mossy Oak or Realtree. Yeah, at Realtree. Like he was in there sweeping floors.
Yep.
But and then got to film hunts. Like you got to make that decision.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where you lead to. That's where it's going to lead you. But like I tip my hat to those guys, because they did it when you didn't have Instagram and you didn't have YouTube and everything else. Like that's a whole nother thing. Like it's a lot easier now. Like to have this podcast, it's pretty easy. It's a program. I send you a link, you log in.
Yeah, and honestly, I think
from everywhere.
Yeah, and you say it's easy, but to add to what I think you're saying is also your content to me is extremely relevant. So I watch your stuff, and so that's what those guys really were at. Maybe they were stretching it at the time, right? But for guys like us, like I can sit on YouTube on my back porch, and my dad's the same way, and my brother's the same way, and we run out of finding guys to watch hunt South Texas, and we run out of guys to watch hunt mule deer in Sonora, and we run out of guys to watch elk hunt. There is still, I mean, Cactus Jack just got their own YouTube thing.
Yep,
Red Dirt Rex.
I saw that.
I'm checking that thing every week to see if there's a new one posted. I enjoy watching that. I mean, we all follow all the Double Down guys and watch all their stuff or whatever it is. And, that there's still more that could be done as far as the relevancy of everything, there's not a lot of, I think, and if you, and I'm not going to say this in a rude way, but if you watch Joe Rogan like years ago when he talks about deer hunting, he talked about feeder hunting and this and that, right? And now that's all changed a whole lot since Cameron Haynes has been hunting the Cactus Jack, right?
Yep.
So and
there's been a little
shift,
a little influx of guys from the western side that are like, hey, you mean I can still come and like eat little Debbie snacks and hang out and just shoot deer, like Levi Morgan coming to Cactus Jack and like all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I don't get me wrong, I think it's cool as hell.
Yeah.
But like, and Dan Staten came down and hunted a ranch down south too, and it's like when those guys are making their videos, and I've watched them all. I've watched
100%.
them all. And the first thing that I'm waiting for is for them to be like, well, guys, I know we've said this before about, hunting in Texas, and then it really is kind of hard now down here, like, and being honest about it. And like, and that's why I continue to follow them and watch them. Because if they'd have been like, oh, this is easy, blah, 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 I'm like, you're bullshitting.
And the difference is somebody's got that deer, I'm not going to say tied up to a tree, but staked out, right? Like where, as if it wasn't the case, like in mine, like they're not watching those cameras. They're not going down there. They're not,
No.
So
they're walking into a board and saying, hey guys, these are the bucks that we're after. These are the ones you can shoot. These are the ones you cannot shoot.
Yep, exactly. And most of the time they're with somebody who's saying, you're looking for this, and rightfully so. I just wanted them to acknowledge that it ain't as easy just because there's a corn feeder out there that you can show up and draw just your bow back,
or shoot a specific deer.
Exactly.
If you just want to shoot a deer, sure. But to, like we talked about at the beginning, pick out a buck and this is what I'm chasing, this is what I'm doing. It's hard still.
Absolutely. And making sure that we have nothing to do with if this deer dies in the pasture. if he breaks his whole horn off, I mean, everything about it, that's all a flip of a coin, right? So that guy flies in to hunt, El Chapo or whatever, and El Chapo breaks his beam off, the night he shows up. What's he hunting? Now in my world, I'm done hunting. They may pass him another one, but you didn't, so that's the part that I'm glad that they've acknowledged it, I guess is what I should say. I shouldn't be negative. I'm not trying to be negative, but
no, it's what it is. Cause like I've talked about it before. Like we have a few people that listen to the podcast from other states. Most of it's Texas, and we've got a few other countries too. And I love Texas. I love being from here. I love that my family's been here for as long as it has. I love that I want to be here for the rest of my life. But like, I really like making sure that people show the respect to Texas that it deserves. Because this is not, this is, like you said, it's not easy. And a lot of people like to shit on it. And you haven't been here. Like the fact that you can even hunt South Texas, like we were speaking about where our lease was and like where yours is, like it's different country. You go to Fort Stockton, you go to out there to the Davis Mountains, it's different country. You go to East Texas, it's all different, and you're all in the same state. Like there's not that many places where you can hunt like that. Like it's within our own state. We are regional on how we hunt.
And there's a lot to be said about the fact that a trophy is really just a mature deer at the end of the day. So you can't look at score, right? We talk about score on here just because of for sake of the podcast, but I'm hunting a mature deer where I hunt. If you're hunting a mature deer where you hunt, if so-and-so's hunting a mature deer where they hunt. I mean, I grew up in Brazoria County, where they got to be 12 inches wide. Like I told you, my first one didn't score 60, so there's different trophies to different areas, and it's more about the chase and killing, and it's publicized so much in Texas because there's so many really good ranches that grow really good big deer in South Texas that I'm sure in other states it's thought of that, oh, it's easy here and this and that and so on and so forth.
Yeah. And I mean, there's like you said, there's pockets of that stuff everywhere, and it just looks like it's easy because we ride around in Hyrax and we have nice blinds and nice rifles and stuff. But it's you got to have that to live out here and to hunt out here, because if not, it's not the same. Like I understand sitting in a tree stand in the Midwest and it's 15 degrees and it's snowing and everything else, but 102.
Oh yeah, I'll take freezing in a tree stand all day.
Over sweating.
After sweating all year this year because it was miserable this year.
You're like, I'm definitely gonna get winded. I know I put on deodorant, but
I was sweating.
I know they can smell me.
I was sweating in December, like big time, in a t-shirt.
Oh, dude. Yeah, I had
just
some
a
buddies
weird
who were hunting
year.
over Christmas.
I think a lot of the things now is going to be the biggest question is like, what's going on with the rain conditions right now moving forward? Like we really need some rain real bad.
Yeah. As bad as this sounds, I know, but when's the last time that we've had an actual hurricane that's brought rain? You know what I mean? Like that's one of the things that we don't want hurricanes tearing stuff up, but that has always been a big thing, a big dump of rain, usually in the summer, that kind of helps along with things. And knock on wood, obviously that stuff ain't been destroyed, but we haven't had one in a few years now.
Mm-hmm. No, I agree 100%. Yeah, we had that one come out of Mexico that gave us pretty good rain this year. It wasn't a hurricane, obviously, by the time it got to us.
It was like a tropical storm. I remember.
But other than that, I mean, we definitely need rain bad in South Texas right now. And that's, as much protein and cottonseed as you can put to them, there's something about the natural stuff that
That water
carries a lot of weight. You know, you don't want it. You don't want that rain in August so that they can eat that shit for the whole year and never come to any corn or anything like that.
Yeah.
But you know, for sure you want it. You want it now though, where they can.
Oh yeah.
Because I mean, dude, they're hurting right now in South Texas. I mean, the deer are hungry. You know,
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
They were all after last weekend. We went. I mean, we saw deer at every feeder that we were at, and I mean, we saw them on the road walking around like everywhere.
Yeah.
It was a lot of movement because they were eating.
But yeah, I think there's a lot about South Texas right now that, you know, we had the crazy shit about the botfly and all that, and you know, the screwworm, not the botfly, I'm sorry, the screwworm.
The screwworm, yeah.
And luckily that didn't cause any problems or whatever, but I mean, I think it's just always ever changing in South Texas as far as, you know, what we're facing and so on and so forth, you know, like.
Yeah, it's like either that and, you know, you're trying to feed these deer and manage these deer and everything else. And there's so many outside factors that could come in and just ruin a bunch of hard work, but it's well worth it. And I mean, even if stuff does happen, it's like we're still going to be the ones that are back out there trying to get it back to where it is. Like if the screwworm comes through and or anything else that has to do with wildlife, like PETA's not going to be there to be like, hey guys, we're going to help with this or help with that. We're just going to, you know, scream off our heads and not really help with conservation and, you know, making sure there is deer still here and all the other animals as well. If you take care of the deer, if you have good deer habitat, you generally have good habitat for everything else. If you really want to get into it, ground nesting birds, quail, like turkeys, like that you can really know that you're doing some work when you have those on the landscape.
Oh yeah, I mean, you know, not to go like too much in that because I don't know too much about the quail and stuff, but I mean, I know that we have extremely healthy population of roadrunners on our place, and to my knowledge, roadrunners are quail's number one enemy, from what I understand as far as their eggs are concerned and stuff, you know, and well, we have a ton of quail, so I mean, it's is what it is. The quail are so difficult to hunt because you're hunting whitetail so hard that you're not just running a bunch of dogs and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
And, you know, so you're not, maybe that's why we have a ton, because we don't ever hunt them. And I'm not to say we don't, some guys don't ever hunt them. I don't ever hunt them. Just because it's also extremely tough terrain on a dog right there, because we're not set up. We don't have any fields or anything like that. For the most part, it's all senderos. Yeah. And, you know, you lock a dog up on some quail in a bush, and then they fly and you shoot them. They hang up in a mesquite tree up in the air anyways, and you still got to walk in there to get them.
Yeah, or your dog's got to dive through cactus thorns to go retrieve it and bring it back, and then you get the great job of pulling all those out.
Yeah, exactly. And I watch like the deer dogs. I mean, I watch them come out after chasing some. I mean, I went on probably the longest track I've ever been on this year with Wade, the guy who found my deer. My buddy Josh, his son shot a deer and made a really good shot, but the deer just happened to turn, and his son's young, 7, I think Sawyer's 7, and made a really good shot, but the deer kind of turned right at the time of the shot, and so where it would have hit him, you know, right in the point of the shoulder, it when he turned, it hit him in the front of the shoulder right as he shot, right, and went in the shoulder and out the shoulder, so no vitals, but broke his leg.
Yeah.
And Wade and I took off after him. He put the dogs down. I got in the truck with him. Once the dogs bait him the first time, we drove around to try to get closer in another area, and then we busted out of the truck. And I think by the time it was all said and done, they'd broke 3 bays, and we caught him about 1.5 miles from where he had shot him. And of course, in the middle of nothing, no road close by. And those dogs, I mean, I was wolfed as can be, and Wade was wolfed, and the dogs were fine, but I mean, they're packed full of cactus and everything else, and the terrain is just so difficult, which is another thing to add what you were talking about how impressive these whitetail are. The fact that they just live in this every single day, and they survive in August when it's 115 degrees, 120 degrees on that dirt. It's such a unique area that we hunt down there for sure.
I love it, man.
And I was hoping to get everything on video this year and be able to share all that with you. And that, of course, was not the case. Given that it all happened the way it did. But I did actually get some good pictures like we talked about. And I even used your line the other day about, taking good pictures because you never know if your house is going to catch on fire and you lose your horn. So the pictures you can have forever.
Yep.
So
that's what I said. Megan shot that buck the other day. We took some good pictures of it, and it was nice. And God had haste in there and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, dude, gotta save those memories, man.
Yeah.
Make sure they're still there, and you look back on them when those days when you're like, and when you're chasing another one, and it's like, is this gonna work out? You just look at that photo and be like, hey, man, it worked out then. Why it can work out again?
Absolutely, man.
Dude, I love it, dude. I love hearing, like, I talked to you and Willie and Taylor Weems Through the Gray, like just a good group of guys that we've had on a podcast where we're talking about like deer and hunting and just doing whatever, it's real cool. Like that's the whole point of starting it, was just to meet people and be able to have somebody else to talk about. Most of the time, my buddy Jared, when we lived in College Station, like we'd go over to each other's house, be like, oh, watch this video, or like we're planning to hunt, we're going to do something else. But since we moved over here to Burnett, and then he's over down in Goliad, like it's just distance, so we're trying to keep everything going. But
so your buddy Jared, he's from Goliad. You all grew up together, I'm guessing. Is that right?
Yeah. So his best friend in high school and one of my best friends in high school were brothers. So I was always like over at their house, and he would be there too. So then in college, we both lived in College Station, and we started hanging out there again. But he's a little bit older than me, so he graduated high school, and I was leaving 8th grade. Yeah, when he was a senior.
I gotcha.
Yeah, but we drew Idaho, so we're gonna go back up there this year
to hunt
mule deer.
Dang. Archery
with a rifle.
Damn, that'll be sweet.
So we're pretty pumped about that. Only thing is, of course, I got to get a rifle now because I don't have anything to take with me. I was gonna try and use the 6 arc that I just built, but it's just not. It doesn't have enough ass, and I'm not gonna try and do it.
You watch that guy shoot that mule deer at 750 yards with that 22 Creedmoor though on YouTube.
Yeah,
I know. I'm with you.
Since I was working at Horizon, I've seen a lot of things die with the 22 Creedmoor where people would be like, "No," and I'm like, it doesn't. So that's on the table too. I thought about doing it, like doing a 22 Creedmoor.
If you're gonna build a gun, 7PRC is.
That's kind of what that was the other option, which is the way I'm really leaning, because I don't think I'm gonna be able to do an outright custom. I ain't gonna be able to afford that right now, unless anybody listening to the podcast, we can do
sponsor.
something. We can make it work. But So I don't think I'm gonna do an outright custom, but I was looking at the Seekins rifles, which from what I see, their new PH3 is actually pretty nice. It's got a titanium action. It's got a carbon, like a hybrid stock, like a carbon composite stock. And then it's a steel barrel, but they have this pretty cool where you can change out barrels. So if you buy a long action rifle or short action, either one, all you have to do is change out the barrel. So I can get a 7 PRC and then order a 300 PRC barrel. Or if I got a short action, I could order just the other barrels for those calibers, and it's pretty easy to switch out and screw on. So I'm like, it's kind of like a custom, and I could change things later on if I really want to, you know. But that's the way I'm leaning right now. But in case anybody wants to, sponsor Hunt, I'm obviously going to make a video when we go. So you want to throw something out there?
Well, like I told you, I told you I didn't mention it, but my 300 Win Mag that I would have shot this deer with from suppressed weapon systems, the dust had just caked on it so heavy this year that I was nervous to shoot it and didn't have a chance to clean it. So I used my dad's Alamo Precision 7 PRC with I think y'all's, is it Scree or Silencer Co. It's a SK.
The sight, is the sight
5-inch? No, the Silencer Co. 5-inch titanium. Silencer Shop is a Silencer Co. Like
yeah.
I think it's Scree. It's like a 5-inch titanium suppressor is what he runs on it. That's what I shot this deer with because mine had gotten so dirty that I was nervous that the dust was going to affect it.
Okay, yeah.
And it's nothing to it, that suppressor. It was super nice to shoot, and I was super impressed. My dad's deer he shot with it this year, shooting 175 grain burger. The only thing that was difficult, as hard as the deer was quartering away, shooting that burger bullet, it just exploded on the inside. I mean, he was dead, obviously, in 50 yards, but there was no blood trail to follow. And doesn't matter if you're in, out west, you can see a lot further out there than you can see.
It's not just running in the thick ass thorny brush.
Yeah. And, but that 7 PRC, I've been extremely impressed with it. I mean, obviously, you really can't go wrong. 7 mag, 7 PRC, 280 AI, 300 PRC, 300 Win Mag. I mean, 6 in one, half a dozen in another, and all of them. But like I told you, after I shot that deer, I was like already like, I got to get me one of these guns because it was the best shot I've ever made in my life, and the gun did all the work. I mean, shooting sticks under the butt of the gun, elbow on the shelf, the whole 9 yards to be able to do it. But it definitely was nice. Have you looked at the Bergaras much on that front, or?
Yeah, I was kind of looking at those too. The only thing is, like, we got some of the Bergaras in at work, and I'm not knocking Bergaras. My buddy Jared has a Bergara and 300 Win Mag that I've shot, and I liked it too. But, like, I wasn't finding them. I didn't find one, like, with our hookup, in 7 PRC. So all they have is like 6.5 Creedmoor, and we have the 308, and we have a 300 Win Mag, and that's all we really carry right now. So that's with the Bergara. So I'm like, I don't know. And they're kind of about the same price as that Seekins, the one I was looking at. So I'm like, I don't know if I want to change it or not. And then I don't know. I like their actions. I love Bergara actions.
That's the reason I ask is.
Yeah, I love Bergara actions because that's where at Horizon, we, the first 22 Creedmoor, the Jackal that they made was built off of Bergara action, and we sold a lot of them, and it was a great rifle. But I don't like their carbon barrels because their carbon barrels, unless they switched, it used to be a carbon sleeve instead of a carbon weave.
Gotcha.
And just some of the stuff that like Derek taught me when I was at Horizon is like the weave was better, like with like proof research or like BSF. And there was another one that made carbon barrels too. That was a weave instead of a sleeve.
Yeah, my dad's.
But that's getting into the weeds.
Yeah, the 22 Creedmoor my dad just got. He has proof research on it.
Yeah, that's what's my 6 arc barrels proof research. That if I didn't have no hold barred, like that would be the barrel that I would run for everything.
Yeah,
I really like proof barrels.
Well, the reason I got super into the 7PRC also is you can adjust your barrel length too, right? Like you can go from 20 to 24 pretty easy on that gun. What is your stock preference as far as like a bolt gun stock preference? Because your arc is built on a AR platform.
Yeah,
right?
it's on an AR. I like a more vertical grip. So obviously I was at Horizon and they had Iota Outdoors, which made stocks. So like I got real fond of their stocks and the way they're made. So like we used Manners, we used what was that other one that's out? Oh, dang it.
Yeah, so I got an AG composite on most of mine right now. I have AG composite on mine. My dad has AG composite. And then I've just been looking for, because I have an HS Precision on this 7 mag that I want to convert to 7PRC.
Yeah.
So just curious what your thoughts were on that.
I mean,
I know like the old Sendero, the old HS Precision Sendero stock. I mean, I'm kind of a fan of that old, old
that
school.
older, kind of slimmer, more like more
angled,
shaped like this, angled. Yeah. And I like the way those look too. Like I would love to have a nice Woodstock gun that's in that shape. But I don't know. When I was like like I said, most of my rifle and bolt gun stuff was what I learned when I was at Horizon with Derek, he was awesome to learn from. And just the things that he was taught me about like shooting and the things I've listened to is just, I like, and the way it fits in your hand, like it's got to be comfortable, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I just like the way the vertical grip kind of.
Well, yeah, I do everything
grip.
wrong.
Not straight up and down, but more leaning towards that way. And I think it's all preference. It's what you like.
Yeah, and I need to learn how to do it the correct way, right? I still put my thumb around
all the way around.
Oh yeah,
I still like catch myself doing that too, and I'm like, oh, put your hand on the other side. It's so much easier. And then you do it, and you're like, okay, I just got to practice. And I mean, shooting shotguns too, you wrap your hand all the way around, so it's like you got to think about like what platform you're using and learn all that stuff too.
Absolutely, yeah. It is definitely something that, like my dad, he just bought I don't remember where he bought it from, but he just bought a 6.5 Creedmoor I'm sure you've seen that guy, Texas Planking, on YouTube. And
we sponsor him at Silencer Shop.
Yeah, Dad's big into watching him right now. So Dad just bought a 6.5 Creedmoor, and one of the platforms like you're talking about with the pistol grip, damn near, I'm gonna call it a pistol grip, but you know what I'm talking about. And so that big heavy gun, so that he can just plank targets and shoot or whatever, and teach himself to shoot long range and stuff. Because I mean, that's the difference in South Texas and going out west, right? Like you don't have to shoot one deer. If he looks big at 800 yards, you can shoot him at 800 yards. If a deer looks big at 800 yards, but it's not the right deer, your ass is grass when you get back to camp. Like you just shot a 180-inch 5-year-old and you get to pack all your shit and go home now. So, we've never been, not that we haven't, the guns we shoot aren't capable of that, but we haven't ever gotten super far into that, but it's definitely something that is enjoyable and that we like to do. Or will like to do as we get down the road.
Same with me, man. I really want to get into the long range stuff, and I think it's just a progression on what you want to learn. But I know that if we go to Idaho and I get out there and say he's at 560, like,
oh, you're ready to send it.
Yeah, I want to be confident because I put in the practice to be able to do that. 100%. But then also if it's like, because you could be like, well, just get closer. Well, sometimes that's it's not really an option. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, am I going to try and get closer and he see us and run off? Like, no, like, but just be confident in what you can do and kind of prepare for it.
100%. And on that 5-day hunt or 7-day hunt, whatever it is you're doing, to have that confidence, the chances of him standing still for that long, for you to move, right, to not run out of daylight, you need to be prepared to do that. It's just like, we didn't get drawn for that New Mexico elk tag, and I would never shoot a whitetail in South Texas at 80 yards because they'll be gone before the arrow gets there, as far as I'm concerned, you know. But on
Yeah.
the elk in Colorado or New Mexico, I was fully prepared to shoot 80 or 100 yards. You know, like, I not shoot 100 yards at the elk, but I was shooting 100 yards to
100
be
yards
able
to
to
get
be
ready for
prepared
the other ones. Yeah.
for 70 yards, right? Like, it's just two different games, you know. And like I said, you make a call through your spot and scope on how big he is, you can send it. You don't have to know if he's that deer that's got a split right G3 or doesn't or whatever. You just know that he's a big deer and he's mature and I can shoot him, you know. Like, that's two different ball games, all hunting, you know.
Yes, sir.
Every bit of it. So
100%, man. Well, dude, I'm glad you got to come on and tell this story and share it with the listeners. And you know, you're always welcome. And I know you said you were trying to get it filmed, but you know, when you and do that, but kind of got my wheels turning. We might be able to talk something, you know,
yeah, dude, I would love
about
to,
for next
man.
season.
For
'Cause
sure.
I like you when you were talking about showing what South Texas is and like how we can do stuff and like get that out there and actually show the honest work that goes with it. Like, I'm all about it. And then,
Yeah.
like I said, hunting in Texas in general. So,
Well, I can tell you, me and my dad, and my brother, like, my dad will be up to kill our big deer, and I can tell you, so you and him would obviously see eye to eye immediately on the deer. I'm on the gun stuff. Like, he is way more even advanced than I pretend to be. But if there was an opportunity for you to film his hunt and do all that kind of stuff, he would eat it up, man. I guarantee
Dude,
you. So
well, we can definitely talk
figure
about
something
it, man.
out. We just got to figure out one that's easier to hunt than one like this one for him.
Yeah.
So,
but once again, as your dad said, that's what makes the good video.
Yeah,
that's
I
what
know.
makes the good film, dude.
Somehow he
That's what
always
makes
gets
good
the easy
stuff.
ones to hunt, you know. But yeah,
That's awesome, man. But yeah,
it was
dude.
cool for sure. Well, I appreciate you having me, and as always, extremely enjoyable. And you know, best of luck on. Hopefully, you draw your tag.
Yeah. We're gonna be putting in the work. I got to get on this treadmill and start climbing these hills and carrying this pack too, because we're not gonna let that hold us back. You know.
Yeah. So I'll tell you that that was the whole deal with my dad getting back in shape. My brother and I, same thing. And we, even though we didn't get drawn, it was like a competition. You know, who can get right for sure.
Oh yeah, we're doing. I'm going to be doing a lot of stuff. We're cutting out a lot of things. Not that I was doing bad before, but I was being lazy with it. I wasn't doing bad, but I was being lazy, and we can't be lazy anymore.
Nutrition wise and exercise wise, I have a degree in exercise science, and obviously I played professional baseball. So if you ever need any help with that, you got any questions as far as what to eat or what not to eat and what to do, I can help you out tremendously on that for sure.
I will probably definitely take you up on that offer, man.
Absolutely, brother. I got you.
Thanks again for coming on the podcast, man. And listeners, we'll catch y'all next week.
Thanks, buddy.
Peace.